Discussion and motion for the Weber subdivision plan 1. Here's the discussion, Peter.
Yeah, so, this subdivision plan application was submitted prior to, the planning commission's December meeting. Our office issued a, review and recommendation letter on December 12th. The planning commission, considered this application at their meeting on the 14th. And they recommended approval contingent upon satisfying the comments and questions that were raised in our letter, as well as a few other conditions. I have the meeting minutes from the planning commission here. The planning commission's contingencies included the appropriate annotations of PennDOT wherever to widen 88, land development agreement, noting the possible widening of 88, and the AJ and Darrell Weber agreeing to the 20-foot easement. So our office has reviewed this. We made our recommendation to approve it to the planning commission. The planning commission has reviewed it and made their recommendation to the supervisors to approve it. At this time, unless there's any questions, from the planning commission, our office would recommend the board consider approving this plan consistent with the recommendations of the planning commission and satisfying the comments in our letter.
I get a question.
Go right ahead.
So, I remember your planning commission meeting, it was talking about, there was one thing that I wasn't sure if it ever got cleared up. I can physically see two driveways there in front, next to Tractor Supply, there's another driveway. But they had said at that planning commission meeting that Tractor Supply was actually using their HOP driveway and that they would be breaking off of that, if I recall correctly, because I was actually in the other room listening when I was doing paperwork.
Yeah.
So did that get figured out? Like, is that their driveway? Is that HOP valid if both places use that one driveway? I know it was a low volume driveway from one Tractor Supply.
So the access to this parcel, there obviously has frontage on 88, but they're also showing a 30-foot easement connecting to the existing driveway that's there at Tractor Supply. And so it's an important distinction to make that this application is really in two parts. They're pursuing a subdivision to establish this lot 1, which is 1.256 acres, but there's a separate application involving the land development specifically and the proposed use, which I believe is a car wash. Echo car wash, which requires a special exemption from the zoning ordinance. So, I guess another way of saying it, specific to the subdivision, we were contemplating access that's provided from 88 and from this utility easement. Their access to that parcel would be clearly shown as part of their land development, and that's, I guess what I'm trying to say is that's more of a land development comment than it is a subdivision comment relative to establishing this new individual lot. Do you agree with that, Dennis?
Yes.
I just know that a lot of in front of Tractor Supply is still owned by the federal government, which is kind of why their driveway's where it's at. I just want to make sure that the Webbers have access to get an HOP.
Good question. Right?
It's a very good question, and it's a unique situation because you're exactly right. That Tractor Supply driveway is on the Weber's property.
That's what I was making sure. Did we?
It is. It is on the.
So they're coming up the same driveway as Tractor Supply, which I'm fine
Yes.
with. I just wanted to make sure because right now there's like a little gravel one and there's a paved one. So was it coming up?
Tractor Supply, okay with that?
Well, the
That's one
Tractor
of the
Supply
problems.
was
Lease,
on
they don't
Weber's
own their property.
because of they didn't have access to 88 in front of the Tractor Supply.
That's a comment in the letter too, is providing a shared access agreement.
Tractor Supply is already on the Weber property, is what they were saying in the planning commission meeting. because in front of the Tractor Supply is still owned by the federal government since World War II.
Having a shopping center there, they want a car wash.
Well, on the.
On
the
one
car wash is gonna be
parcel.
on the-
On one parcel.
one of the parcels.
And that what we did was they wanted to subdivide
Right now, there's a
a
gravel one
piece
here.
of the big
So they're not putting it
parcel
on that gravel one.
for the car wash.
Just
And
this
supposedly
piece
it's
still
needed to be
valid.
done on their end
Well, all of
for
these come off of here
the
because
bank.
This is a low-level volume
They're gonna need to
driveway.
get a different.
But I know this one says low-volume driveway.
Presumably, I'm not sure, Tractor Supply happened before I got here, but presumably they closed out that agency. I don't know why they would keep it active longer than they need to.
Ain't that bad?
So,
I think they did. Low-volume driveway.
yeah, absolutely.
No, at the end you're different, here you make the vote to approve it.
This is the property they own now.
Conditions, if they don't do it, then they rescind that.
That's
And
they
then
want to
do cease
establish
and
this
desist.
new law.
So this is
Part
pretty
of
much,
the Tractor Supply.
Weave it through
No.
whatever.
this one, this is, no, this is a
The
lot.
letters,
is all
the
one.
letters
All
said
one
that
parcel.
Tractor Supply driveway is on their property with the agreement.
So why did the people that come in with this thing already talk
Thank you.
about this, apply the land on basic paper?
Did you folks get copies of these drawings?
No.
Not even your letter.
Or the letter?
I didn't get it.
I didn't get a letter either.
Yeah, no, it makes sense, but they have to
What was your
comply.
comment, Larry?
His question is if they don't comply with what your letter says, whatever, then there's no approval.
He's questioning that in the past, there was so many conditions that it was an approval, it was really with a kind of, is this a reasonable amount of conditions? This is the normal amount? Is this easy to acquire?
This is normal, it's normal.
Yeah,
This
that's
is-
not, I'm just
it's
saying
not
what
like
his
the-
question is.
It's not like the previous property.
This is my question, and this goes back to the planning commission, the old planning commission from when we were on with the other board. We were running into the issue of, we were passing things and it was under the condition that this be settled, and we never got word whether anything was ever settled. So we don't know if anything was ever followed. What can we do to make sure when we're passing and saying, okay, we agree, it, you know, to say that this should be passed, but all of this still has to happen.
Well, there-
Who's going to monitor that it happens?
That's the zoning approval.
Well, no, but the,
Compliance.
no, he's talking, he's mentioning that there were 4 items in our planning commission meeting concerning the Weber property. And basically what Lori's saying, it is a good point. When we make these motions to approve conditionally, it's up to the engineer to tell the township it's approved or not, and I'm assuming you're doing it, right?
Yes.
Okay, so then,
So there should be, there should be a filing system, either paper or on computer, and there should be something put in the file for this development, whatever development saying.
Bless you.
What should, TJ should send a letter saying they comply with all this as soon as possible. And until they comply with it, it's not approved.
Legitimate question.
What we've done in the past is,
we've been through, it's a
once the supervisors have
years we were running into this.
passed their motion to approve it, whatever conditions are subject to that approval, I then prepare a letter, our office prepares a letter to be sent to the applicant stating on this date, the plan was approved, here are the stated contingencies. And we take the contingencies from the draft meeting minutes.
Is there a time restriction tied into that? I mean, could it take 10 years to come up with the solution or the answer to the question?
I'm not sure about the subdivision, I know in land development you have 1 year.
So, but what TJ says, and again, they can't get, if they want to appeal, if they don't apply this, what do we do, they don't get through it, correct?
Right.
That's right.
So that's the antagonist towards them not complying. So if we have a proper organized system, if TJ says they haven't complied, just sits there and they make an application for building permit or occupancy permit, what happens? They don't get it, correct?
That's correct.
He's trying to
But
avoid
it's
a
not- but-
Tuscany situation, an NVR situation,
So-
good enough for that.
So our office has remained in communication with the consulting engineer for this project, and it's, you know, they recognize that they need to make some changes to their drawing and send the township a revised drawing. That's fairly customary. These applications were submitted in December.
You could take,
If they'd like, the board has, it's well within their right to table the plan tonight.
they have up to
Up until 90 days, I believe, to approve the plan,
I think it's more or less, so we have
well within
3
your right.
board members that have been board members for 7 days. This is a lot that
Sure.
I think they're feeling like they'll be more comfortable once they
Why don't we-
discuss this
The
subdivision.
next 3 items on the agenda are all the same exact situation, subdivisions that were approved with contingencies.
Although, and we'll still, I say we still discuss it, and that starts the conversation, but they have limited amount of data to make this decision
Get
based
the
on it.
documents and.
I mean, we've been getting bank cards signed and insurance is done, and, yes, so,
Certainly, we have the
Let me ask you a
ability
question.
to table.
What about going off and on Route 88? Now a question, any committee or the engineer, has that ever been discussed?
oh, yes, it's been discussed.
So, the application,
I'm sorry,
the
Like the Dairy Queen trying to get in there in the
Commissioner,
summer?
your microphone's on, I can't hear with the furnace, and I don't think the microphones are on, it's not
Oh,
working.
yeah, they're on.
You're on.
Mine's not. Am I loud enough?
You're loud.
You're loud enough. Move your microphone closer, Larry.
It says red.
Mine's-
Move it
It
closer.
was too far, I think it was too far away.
All right.
Move
so
it closer.
We have 90 days to.
Good.
To say, to approve or else deny, I mean, Steve approved.
Yeah.
We have time to wait till February.
These plans were submitted and considered in December, so yes, we have 9, we have.
So the application,
within our
okay,
90
it's gonna be 90 days. So why don't you do this, why don't you, whoever made the motion to,
We didn't make, we
Sure.
started the discussion,
Okay.
no one's made a motion to do anything.
all right, so if you wanted to make a motion to table items
G, H, and I.
G, H, and I, that's the motion?
Yes.
So,
Well, you can make a motion to GH and I, that he gets a second. We still have any discussion about those other 2, or we just,
No, you can't have discussion.
yeah, that's what I was saying.
okay, so
So-
between now and the next meeting, I will communicate with Diana and make sure that each of the supervisors gets a copy of each of these applications, and we can consider that at the 24th.
Yeah. He's been coming every day, Suzanne was here, I think, until 9:30 last night with me, trying to catch up on all the various projects and things and so forth, but it's too much to absorb in a couple of days.
I understand, yeah,
And make a decision on
we
it.
have time, and, you know, there's outstanding permits with these anyway, so we're,
So the motion by, Larry is to table G, H, and I. Any second?
I'll second.